So I have had these seeds on my table for days now, with every intention of making a definite decision on what to sow. I received some great feedback after asking for your suggestions on what to plant in the fall garden that would bring beauty. And planting purple crops was a popular suggestion from so many of you. I also asked for your opinion on whether or not you would pull crops that were still producing to make space for the next season crops, or if you would leave the crop there until it finished. And so many of you suggested simply moving the crop, which for me was peppers, into another container, which is so simple. But I didn't even think of it. And so that is what we are going to be doing today. I'm going to be using the buckets that we use for our hanging tomatoes and plant the pepper in here to give them another month or so to live. And then I plan to hard prune them and attempt to overwinter them. I didn't have success last year, but with having the greenhouse this year, I am hoping to have better success because it would be so cool to have second year peppers. I also think that this is the perfect time for me to give my final opinion on these hanging tomatoes. Personally, I would say definitely do it. I will be doing this again and again. Our tomatoes were so healthy and so delicious. I was confident that they were getting enough water. Even when it rained, I was sure that the water was going directly to those roots. And so I would definitely do this. And if you were thinking about it, you should give it a try. I would say that this experiment was a success. Because we are planning a complete makeover for this space, this is our container garden. We will not have these cattle panel arches here for next spring. And so that means that we may have to build something that they could hang from, which sounds like a fun project. And we would be able to customize it based off of our height and width needs. And so I definitely think that is something that we are going to look forward to doing for our spring garden. So ideally, I would completely change out this soil, but because it is for a short-term thing, I am not going to change it. I'm going to use the same soil that the tomatoes were planted in, and we are going to see if we cannot extend the life of the peppers using this soil and these buckets with some fertilization and add some new soil next season. With our real fields being in the hundreds lately, coming into the garden and still seeing that there is life and life abundantly is so encouraging. The goal for today is to get these peppers potted up, to get everything else pulled out of the beds, to harvest what I can harvest, and to cover the bed so that we can have some of that solarization to kill any eggs and any unwanted bugs in the soil so that this soil can be prepared for our fall crops. Typically, solarization takes anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. We don't have that many weeks, but what we do have is a whole lot of heat. And so I'm thinking 1 to 2 weeks is better than none. For those of you who have successfully overwintered peppers, please leave a comment down below and let us know what you did that you believed allowed you to be successful. Because I do believe, like with everything else, there are tips and tricks that we can apply so that we have a greater success rate. And so I would absolutely love to hear from you. I know others would be so happy to read that as well. Those of us who have a desire to get it right this time. Please share if you kept your peppers inside. Were they under a light? Were they next to a window? Did you have them on heat, or was your house or where they were located warmed? Did you have them outside in your greenhouse? Is your greenhouse heated? Is it not heated? Like, give us all the deets. So the peppers in this bed were banana peppers, and I ended up picking the 3 best banana peppers that I found, as well as several of our smaller peppers. One was a jalapeno pepper, and the other one I believe were cayenne peppers. I am typically so bad about drinking enough while I'm outside, but this last month I have been really trying to make sure that I bring something that's nice and cooling outside with me because it is serious out here. So let's talk green tomato pie. I recently came across a recipe that was called green tomato pie, and I was like, oh, really? And so this is going to be perfect. I'm going to use these to make a green tomato pie and just experience something new. It was a bittersweet moment to take down our picture frame trellis right here that I did the Florida weave with. I really enjoyed the height that creating this trellis allowed for at the end of these garden beds. And so I would definitely love to do something like that again. I didn't necessarily love the Florida weave. If you saw the video where I did the 3 different types of trellising that were really inexpensive and affordable, my favorite out of all of those were the grid trellis. I will definitely be doing more of the grid trellis next season. I just loved it. It was inexpensive and it just brought so much organic beauty to the garden. For me, the biggest difference between, say, like the grid trellis or the Florida weave is that the grid trellis, once you do it, it's done. If you put a vining crop on there, like we have cucumbers on our grid, and so it just climbs, you don't have to do anything. It's like low maintenance. The Florida weave with the tomatoes, you have to do something. Those tomatoes grow so fast and you have to make sure that you are getting in there and weaving. So I don't know if it's because I had 3 tomatoes kind of scrunched up together. It would probably have been a lot simpler to maintain if there were only 2 tomatoes. That would give each tomato 2 feet of space, and so that would have made weaving the twine in between them a lot more simple. So I am finally at the point where I can harvest these flower seeds. We are going to be harvesting some sunflower seeds as well as some zinnias, but look at this. If you have never seen this, you are in for such a treat. This has to be the coolest thing. I absolutely love this. How cool is it to harvest sunflower seeds? Before this moment, I did not even realize how satisfying this would be, or that sunflower seeds is officially my favorite seed. I grew up eating these and I never knew that they were the seeds from a sunflower. I know. It's sunflower seeds, but it never crossed my mind that the seeds came from a actual sunflower, and I am just such an awe. This is so amazing. So we are going to have a ton of seeds. I don't have to buy any more sunflower seeds for next spring. We have everything that we need. From that one head, we would have enough sunflowers because that was a mammoth sunflower. And so that came from that very tall, it had to have been at least 10 feet tall. So beautiful, and I'm completely in love. Some sunflowers I did actually let dry too long, so the seeds actually either fell out or something came by and ate them. If they fell out, we are going to have so many volunteers next spring. We're going to have sunflowers popping up everywhere. We're definitely going to have a lot of zinnias because we planted so many zinnias this time. It is going to be such a fantastic surprise to see all the different flowers popping up everywhere. And just like that, it's raining. And that coolness from that rain was such a blessing. It was much welcomed. So one of the reasons why I took the seeds right into the greenhouse when I came outside is so that I would actually commit to sowing the seeds. It is such a bad habit just leaving it in the house and then getting tied up and sucked into the garden and everything that it entails. And I forget that I need to actually sow some seeds. And placing it into the greenhouse, I knew that I was going to do it. The reason why I'm not leaving the seeds inside of the greenhouse is because I read that it wasn't recommended. And so, what are your thoughts about that? Do you leave your seeds inside of your greenhouse, or do you bring them into your house where it's temperature controlled? I can honestly say I had no idea that that was even a thing. I thought for sure seeds were going to be kept inside of the greenhouse until I started to do some research and found out otherwise. So I actually only had two purple varieties on hand. So I'm going to be checking out some local stores this week to see what I might be able to find. I went to one big box store, y'all, and they didn't have any seeds. And that was so suspicious to me because I know they didn't sell out. So what are they doing with the seeds? So if you have a favorite variety of something that's purple that you plant in your garden and you know a reputable place that you get them from, please let me know that as well. I want to find some as soon as possible. I don't live near a whole lot of big box stores, and so it would be better if I could order them online for sure. I will actually only keep these containers in this greenhouse for about 2 days. The last batch that I germinated so fast in here and then shriveled up and tried to die. So I had to transplant some and then plant them and take them outside. So that's why you see them sitting outside of the window and not inside of the greenhouse, y'all, because this heat, even with the exhaust fan and even with our regular fan, it still stays pretty hot. So outside it is. Thank you guys so much for joining me in the garden today. I'll see you guys next time.